Welcome back to Inside Eastern Utah. We are here talking with candidates for Clerk Auditor from Emery County. And now, well, we talked to Emery County first, and now we have Carbon County's, one of Carbon County's candidates for Clerk Auditor. Sorry, that's a mouthful. Glenna Etzel, and we are so happy that you could come and talk with us, Glenna. Do you want to start with telling us just a little bit about yourself, about your background, where you grew up, kind of what you're doing now?
Yeah, I will. I was born and raised in Carbon County, and received my associates from CEU. It was actually CEU at the time. And then I moved up to Salt Lake to obtain a Bachelor's of Science in Finance. Following that, I moved back to Carbon County, and I worked at MB Financial for about a year and a half, but the sales aspect of everything just wasn't the right fit for me. And I found myself in the Carbon County Clerk Auditor's office as a deputy clerk auditor. I spent about a year and a half there as well, and then in 2014 I was appointed as Wellington City Recorder. Have been there for 4 years now. Last year I received my CMC designation. So, and many people aren't aware that the city recorder of certain fifth class cities is their jobs and responsibilities are very similar to a clerk auditor of a county this size.
Okay. So just kind of at the city level instead of county.
Level,
okay.
Yeah, smaller level, but.
So tell us what the certification you just received, did you say CMC?
Yeah,
what does that mean?
CMC, it's a certified municipal clerk. I received it from the IIMC, which is International Institute of Municipal Clerk. And that certification, that actually covers people who are in townships, towns, cities, municipalities, counties. So it's not just, I know it says municipal clerk, but it does actually cross the lines. And at trainings, I've never seen any county clerks, and I don't know if anyone knows that. And that's one thing I would like to bring in is have that training start. I mean, it's the same, and why aren't we utilizing it?
Yes. Well, you had a really exciting thing recently too. You just got married
not
long ago. So
I did. So
congratulations.
The name will change, but we're going to stick with it for a little while, right, through the campaign season.
Yes. Thank you.
And so that was a marriage after about 10 years you guys have been together, so that's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Now, you've seen Carbon County a lot through the years. Like you said, you have grown up here, you've been very involved in the area. Can you talk a bit about the changes you've seen? There's been, fluctuating economy, changes in leadership. How have you adapted to that in your roles throughout the years, and how do you foresee that as clerk auditor?
In Wellington, we always have changing elected officials. That's just part of the cycle. It's an every 4-year change. When I started there, you had Pete Yakovich was on the council, as was Terry Sanslow, and fast forward 4 years, we have a whole new council, a whole new set of issues, because each person is going to have their own, they bring what they want, what they feel is important, and what people have elected them based on what they represent. And it is a change. I mean, you have to adapt. You have to learn how to, interpersonal communications comes to play here. Hugely. And it does. But as clerk auditor, if I was elected, you're going to have the same cycle. Every 2 years, you could have a whole new commission, I mean, the one doesn't change. The one changes on his own, and then the other two rotate.
Yes.
But you still, and you have to adapt. You have to take time to learn who they are, what they want, to try to work with them, because you are a team. You want to, your goals as a clerk auditor, I feel like, should be what everybody wants. You should be as neutral as possible. A commissioner is not going to be, but you still need to work with that commissioner to try and help him meet his goals as well, or hers. And then as far as the economy goes, I mean, right now we all want to hope that it gets better, but you do have to learn to adapt. Last year in Wellington City, we found out we had a $58,000 deficit that we didn't know was coming. And I mean, the prior administration knew, but that knowledge was never passed down along to us. So, I mean, we didn't really lay off too many people. We laid off 2 part-time people, but they worked minimal. I mean, 10 hours a week. It wasn't, but you do have to adapt, whether it's kind or not.
Yes. And so hopefully that position in Wellington, and not only that, but also you did work in the clerk auditor's office, is kind of going to give some insight, hopefully, for how you could adapt to that.
Yeah, I think it very much would. I mean, when I was in the clerk auditor's office in 2012, that was the first time I held like a $12 million check, and it was from lease revenue. And I'm like,
Many people will never do that.
No, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much money. But now that lease, now Lynn's not holding that $12 million check.
Darn it.
Yes, and you're obviously accustomed to dealing with a small budget in Wellington City as well, I'm sure.
Yes.
So talking about the economy, we all know the state of Carbon County's economy. It's going to be challenging going forward to keep all of the current programs that we have running that come from county funds.
Yes.
What are your plans to do that? Is that going to be possible? Are there going to be cuts in the future from what you can see from the clerk auditor's office?
I would hope not. I would like to get into the budget and just, what we have presented to us is very limited. It's not limited. I don't want to say limited. What the transparency website has available, I like to go back through and look at years and years and years. And the accounting software that they use at the county is Cassell. So it's what we use in Wellington. So you can kind of see the trends. And, I would go in and see, are all the fees, are there any fees that need to increase even by $1? I mean, still a lot, but, what were they in 2008? What are they today, 10 years later? That's a, 15-cent difference. 15 cents is what I looked it up at work the other day. So little fees like that to try and keep programs in place.
And $1 might not sound like a lot if you're just paying for one thing, but if a lot of people are just paying $1 extra, it could give some wiggle room.
It could give. And animal licenses. I know a huge cut has been at the animal shelter. Are they collecting all of the licensing fees that they should be collecting? Because, I know what we bring in for Wellington, and no, it would not fund an animal department,
Oh, come on. I paid a big animal fine in Wellington City a couple years ago.
But that's another story.
That's another story. I wasn't there. No, I don't think I was. I didn't issue it. I don't have that authority. But no, you can look and see is there anything that we are missing besides just going straight for the taxes?
Yeah.
And I don't want to go in cutting programs. I don't, think we need to cut recreation. You can't, they're already bare bones. You really can't. What can you cut?
Right.
So do you think that, obviously trying to keep as balanced as possible and trying to avoid cuts, is tax increase a possibility? I know there was a whole lot of talk about that last year and ended up not going through. But obviously you want to look at other possibilities. But
if you have to do it, you have to do it. But I think you're going to have to do it in increments if you are. And scaring people with that $700,000 increase, that's frightening. But I don't feel like overall it was explained that it's just, you go to the grocery store and you buy all of your typical groceries. Well, they have increased milk, so you're going to pay more for milk. But nobody, I felt like, ever said, lison, you're just paying more for this one line item.
Portion.
You've got this whole receipt.
You have this whole receipt, but milk has gone up. And I'm not saying let's go raise taxes. I'm not saying that's what I would advocate to do. I just think there's a better way to explain it.
Go about it.
I do think that is one of the gaps in local governments, is explaining how the budget works to people who are not familiar with it. Like I said, there's the transparency website, but it's not user accessible.
Well, yeah, and if we're not immersed in it all the time, it probably is hard to understand.
For
so
the
that's
everyday
your
citizen,
Yes.
it's really difficult to decipher.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like technology. I don't understand every IT aspect that my husband does, but he does because that's his job.
Yeah. So balanced budget is obviously a very important role of the clerk auditor, but there are other duties as well. Can you walk us through some of those and what qualifications you have to kind of fulfill those?
Again, the clerk side of it is huge. I mean, I had actually called Seth Ovison on a separate issue, but we were just talking about, you know, and he was saying that he spends about 50% of his day on clerk responsibilities. And those can be anything from elections to managing the contracts. I mean, you're responsible for maintaining those contracts, you know, keeping the record of it. You are responsible for maintaining the marriage licenses, passports, and then, you know, the ordinances, the minutes, and then the election side. And a lot of people, I don't think, realize how much the clerk side of all of it is going to change in the next 5-10 years. I mean, if you look at Utah as a whole right now, they are moving to vote by mail. Wellington City, Carbon County may very well be, you know, coming to that. And I have training from my UMCA trainings on vote by mail and the procedures and how other, you know, counties are handling it or cities are handling it. And then we also had a training not too long ago about the about how data is going to be stored differently, because the internet has changed the way that people want to look up the information, and they want it all streamlined. So my minutes are going to look the same as the minutes of somebody in Bridgefield, Pennsylvania, because they want it to be
common.
We all need common.
Yeah. Common factor.
And so, yeah, I think I have a pretty good understanding and experience from, you know, I attend trainings twice a year with the UMCA, and I do have my finance background.
Great. You talked a little bit about the election, and that is a duty of the clerk. So is there anything unique about this election cycle that you haven't seen in the past, or that our voters can expect something different? You
know, just how many people are on the ballot. That's so, I think, unique. And, you know, I've been helping out with elections since 2012 in one capacity or another. In Wellington City, I've been the election officer twice. And you know, they've just been like minimal. The only other one I could think that was this large and had this much attention was the sheriff's race in 2014. But again, you only had really 3 candidates on that ballot. It wasn't for the commissioner side. We have so many.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, I don't think results are going to be finalized June 26th. I just think, you know, we're going to have to wait for some of the, you know, provisional ballots and the vote by mails that are postmarked on the 26th.
Great. Well, I know that we didn't have much time with you, but we appreciate you taking some time to answer a few questions. And is there anything you want our viewers to know before we let you go?
No, just, I mean, local government's where my heart is. I enjoy what I do. Even if I lose this election, I'm still fortunate enough because this is the path I want to stay on, and I still have the opportunity to stay on it in Wellington. But I would like to serve my community on a much larger scale than just Wellington. I would like to serve everyone and bring my experience and knowledge to this larger role. So,
well, thank you so much, Glenna. We appreciate your time, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Inside Eastern Utah. Stay tuned. More of your favorite programming is coming up next.